Okay, the concern is that we have two churches meeting at the same place. Who has the liability issues related to the property? And that would fall on the owners, which will be them at that point, because we would actually give title to this. We would lose all our ownership interest in this. We would then have only a lease agreement at that point. It actually ties to the schedule that he had mentioned earlier. They could buy us out at any point, but I think we set that schedule up. Do you remember what the total years were? All right, 661 months, but this is something that we have actually proposing to them. This hasn't been totally agreed yet, so the number of points there, or number of months involved, we haven't made the decision. A lot of the things that were mentioned here tonight, being concerned about issues between the two churches, one of the things we've discussed among ourselves, we haven't reached any agreement with them at this point, was to set up a team of 4 people from each church to meet on a monthly basis and work out any issues so that it doesn't become a problem between the two ministries. The last thing we want to have is a problem between two churches. We're going to do everything we can to keep that from happening. And if I can talk Keith into, he'll definitely be representing us on one of those teams. But that would be something that we would need to do just to keep the open air between the two, at least discussion going back and forth. Because definitely, we're going to run into some issues. So there's no way to avoid that. So the best thing to do then is to make sure that up front we're keeping the open discussion there so that if they have a problem, they come to us. If we have a problem, we go to them. And we don't do this back and forth stuff.
Pastor, is January 1st the date that we would make this decision after the 40 days? Or is it, you said April? When is the point of the decision?
Okay, the proposal we have from North River in writing right now is April the 21st, to close no later than April the 21st. I talked to Brother Scott. I said we would like to have the 40 days remaining this year to pray and discuss and to come to some type of agreement by January 1st. You know, again, that gives us the rest of the month of December. If there's no consensus by then, we don't do anything. You know, we just tell it we can't sign, we can't agree to what's proposed, and if y'all can wait a little later or give us more time, or we just take the deal off the table. If we're not at a consensus by the end of the year, again, we will just delay it. And by consensus, my heart would be grieved if we made any kind of decision based on a simple majority. That would not be pleasing to the Lord. You know, the majority's not always right. We know that from the 12 spies that went into the promised land. The majority's not always right. But to have a decision made that would divide this congregation would be a victory for Satan. And we're not in this to give him any glory. What we want is to find a consensus of God's people. This is God's will for our church. And if we don't have that overwhelmingly, we agreed as elders when we first started meeting together that we would never make a decision or move on a decision that was not unanimous. And that's pretty hard to do with 5 hard-headed guys. 6 now. But that's the direction I see us going. We're not looking for a 51-49 decision either way. And my prayer for this church is that this would be something that would unify us and not divide us. And I told Teresa before this, I said, Teresa, I don't know the direction or the tenor of this meeting, but I want you to know as my wife that I'm not going to take anything personal tonight. You know, you don't have to. She always, the person you love, you take up their offenses. I said, I'm not taking it. This is not about Keith Pugh. This is not about us versus them. We are seeking God's will. And if God's will is for us to stay here and to do what we've been doing, and this is our sacrificial test that, I believe Abraham drew the knife back when he was sacrificing his son. I believe he started forward when God stopped him. I don't think he just thought about sacrificing his son. I believe he was willing to go through. And, God can stop us at any time and say, you guys really do trust me. And he's going to open up the windows of heaven and bless us. So, then again, this is a process that we've got to go through. And I heard a great sermon last Sunday where the preacher said we need to rejoice always, pray about everything, and in everything give thanks. And that's been my mantra for the week, is I'm going to rejoice regardless. I'm going to pray like I've never prayed before, and I'm thanking the Lord for this opportunity. I'm thanking the Lord for what we're going through right now, because we are going to be a stronger church. We're going to be stronger, and I'm thanking Him for that. Yes?
Just curious, we mentioned the youth and college on Wednesday night. What would be the adult setup for Wednesday night?
The adult setup,
Yeah, for
we
Wednesday
would
night.
continue to have prayer meeting for the adults. We, you know, to me, that's the most powerful thing we do is when we meet together and pray. We would have prayer meeting, and my vision is this, is that Wednesday night is kind of their discipleship time. They have things for the youth and for the college, and they'll have adult classes going around, and we would offer to them, if you would like to join us for prayer meeting, certainly we invite you to come and pray with us. You know, we're kingdom-minded people, and we would love to have you a part of our prayer meeting on Wednesday night. So I could see some of their adults who may have come up in a more of a traditional church being interested in that type of meeting on Wednesday night and joining us in a time of prayer.
Time to eat.
Who said that? Oh. Yes. Need a microphone.
I'm just wondering if God would have us to stay in this church, and we do, just like we're doing tonight, does the church have any plans as to outreach ministry?